did we choose to formula feed? Well, I mean, we tried breastfeeding for a week. You know, I really did, but it just wasn't working. So, and I wanted my freedom anyway. You know, so, you know, after the pregnancy and the labor, you know, I didn't want to be tied down to the baby for months on end, so.
Why did I want to breastfeed? The freedom, for one, if you want to go for a drive, a surprise outing, if you want to go camping, if you want to go visit your friends, all you have to do is grab some diapers and go.
I just chose bottles because bottles are so easy. No pain, no work.
For one thing, I couldn't picture messing around with formula, with washing bottles, heating formula, making sure things are at the right temperature, all the while the baby is crying to be fed. I just couldn't picture myself being stuck with that kind of rigmarole.
Breastfeeding. I couldn't do that. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. No.
My mom's milk is good because it has all the vitamins of the foods and it helps my brother not get sick.
Like, what would happen if the baby's hungry and you're out in public? What do you do? Like, do you have to find a bathroom every time?
I feed my baby when I'm picking Big Brother up at school. I feed him at work when I'm serving customers, when I'm at the bank, waiting in line, at the grocery store, in the parking lot, visiting my mom. Wherever we are, we always have what we need because I always have the milk ready and waiting for him.
I mean, if the baby's hungry in public, it's not a big deal. I can just give them the bottle. I mean, can you imagine being in public and having to breastfeed?
And I really don't think I could have done it without JD's support. Never once did he say, we should get formula, try the formula, that'll make things smoother.
Well, my husband didn't really want me to.
When the baby comes, you want to be part of it.
I don't think he ever felt left out. Did you ever feel left out?
No, I've never felt left out. Along with feeding the baby, I do other things with the baby. I take the baby on long walks. I go to the park with the baby. I'll change the baby, and then we create that bond in other ways.
Push him on this way.
And we push him on this way.
You do. You do that.
Yeah. I do that.
A lot of women that didn't breastfeed their babies don't really support new moms either because I guess they didn't do it themselves.
Well, I never breastfed any of my children, so that's why I say she doesn't need to go out.
See, Mom never did it. At where I'm from, nobody breastfeeds. It's all the bottle. Breastfeeding seems, I don't know.
Every mother I know breastfed, just about everyone. I actually can't think of anyone I know who didn't breastfeed. And for me, that's always been how I picture a new mom. So when I had my children, bottle feeding never even occurred to me. Breastfeeding was just the normal thing to do. Hey, buddy.
It definitely helps to have somebody else support you when it's getting tough breastfeeding and you're wondering how you're going to go to work, how you're going to pull everything off with the timelines.
Without the support of a partner, I think it'd be really easy to cave in. Like my neighbor, the first sign of trouble, her husband went out and bought a bottle and formula. He was trying to help.
Well, I thought I was doing the right thing too. I guess I didn't know what else to do.
It's pretty much a no-brainer because breast milk has everything that the baby needs. And we want to do what's best for the baby.
Well, what I like about the bottle is anyone can feed the baby and I can get away.
What she does is when she breastfeeds the baby, she'll collect on with the other breast, and I'll feed that milk to the baby later on. And what that does is create a great bond between me and the baby.
So many places you can go for support if you run into problems. My first little boy was born 9 weeks early, so breastfeeding didn't start off as it normally would. We spent 7 weeks in the hospital, and during that time, we worked with a wonderful lactation consultant, and she was so supportive and reassuring. She really took the stress out of the whole process. We were so grateful to have her, and thanks to her, we got breastfeeding down pat and continued for 10 months after.
Like I say, when the baby cries, you know, with the bottle, the baby isn't always crying out for me. That's the part that I like.
And the instant comfort you can provide. Not just when your baby is hungry, but when she's tired or hurt or, God forbid, in the hospital, you can provide instant comfort. Nothing can replace that power.
You know what I mean? I had the other youngsters, and it was hard finding time to put into the baby when I have to mind the others too.
To me, it's an important job, breastfeeding. I'll do the other stuff around the house, like do the dishes, take care of Levi, to give Janet the opportunity to do the breastfeeding.
What made me nervous about breastfeeding is you never know how much the baby is getting.
A lot of new moms are really concerned about, am I making enough milk? And they're worried, and they're scared, and the baby's crying.
Like with a bottle, I always know, because you can read the number of ounces on the bottle.
Always remember it's supply and demand. Nurse your baby as much as your baby wants to nurse. even though it's a lot in the first 5 days especially. And you will make as much milk as your baby will need. You have to trust your baby's instinct and trust your own body.
Actually, I do not know, in my time, I do not know one person who breastfed.
Where can we start? There's diabetes, childhood obesity.
Sad, isn't it?
Ear infections, dental problems.
And now all my nieces are all breastfeeding.
Childhood cancers, the list goes on and on.
It's a much better thing.
I know they say formula is the last option, but I know lots of people who had formula.
There are increased health risks with formula feeding. These could arise in the infant, in early childhood, or later in life, or potentially not at all.
And why take the risk if you don't have to?
There's nothing to lose, and there's so much to gain just by trying.
But at the time, it seemed that like educated people didn't breastfeed, whereas now it's reversed. Educated people do breastfeed. So it seems to have flipped. And I think it's good. But I mean, it's the most natural thing. I don't know why we thought formula was better. They told us formula was better, but it doesn't make sense.
I could never do that in front of my father. Can you imagine at Christmas dinner just breastfeeding?
Actually, I feel really bad that I didn't breastfeed my children because I feel like I was robbed of something and they were robbed of something that should have come natural.
I wasn't personally comfortable with it. I know that breast milk is supposed to be better.
My grandchildren were breastfed and they did really well. They're doing really well still. Whereas I know my own kids had a lot of allergies. And these kids who have from the same genes don't have the allergies, so I'm sure there's something there.
But I felt my children were not disadvantaged by using the formulas that I chose for them. They were well stocked with lots of vitamins and the proteins and things for growing babies.
Because I mean, I really believe that all mothers love their children and all want to do the best for them. They just don't always know what's best.
And it burns calories too. Who doesn't love that? He's 4 months old now and no more baby weight.
But really, you know, even though we were discouraged from doing it, common sense should have dictated. You know, we got these things, use
Why
them.
did I choose to breastfeed? Well, what can I say? Why wouldn't I?
We breastfed. Well, she breastfed.
I breastfed.
I think, you know, given the chance to do it over again, I would definitely breastfeed my children. Because that's what breasts are for.
Breasts are for, aren't they?
What do you mean, these?
Boobs. Breasts. They're made for
They're made to
breastfeeding.
make milk for your baby.
So why wouldn't you do that?
That's what they're for.
That's what they're there for.
Look at all the money I could have saved on all that friggin' formula. You know?